Hello to everyone in Azerbaijan. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Now, there's going to be the third Congress for people with special needs on the 17th and 18th of April. Now, unfortunately, I can't make that to be there at the conference, or because of commitments I have here in Australia to give a webcast for your conference. However, I do encourage all those attending to absorb the information at the Congress and network with the people there to improve your knowledge of services and access to resources. Now, my area is autism spectrum disorders and has been that for 50 years. I've been exploring autism. Now, there are a couple of questions that I've been asked to address, and that is the importance of getting a diagnosis and how it changes a family's life. A diagnosis is very important because it's then recognized that it's a neurodevelopmental disorder. The brain is wired differently. It's not due to bad parenting, and that's incredibly important, because if there isn't a formal diagnosis, there will be a moral diagnosis. The child is deliberately naughty, rude, or non-compliant, and it's a parent's fault. It's not the case at all. But also, by achieving a diagnosis, what you can then do is know where to go to get the information. And this is where the internet and resources are so valuable, that parents in particular can go and find out how to improve communication skills, learning skills, social skills, coping with anxiety, sensory sensitivity, all the dimensions of autism. There's a huge wealth of knowledge available via the internet and obviously by certain specialists in the area. So it's important to get a diagnosis as early as possible. Also, to start the intervention programs. The earlier you start, the better the chance of achieving success. It's not an exact science in terms of a diagnosis. It's a matter of clinical opinion, information, and assessment of a variety of dimensions. And it means that when one is given a diagnosis, it means that, I hope, other people's attitude is going to be one of understanding and support of that individual, and then know that when the person is toilet trained, yes, that's a fantastic achievement, where for other families it's nothing. Here it's important. Or learning to talk first words and speaking in sentences. A child who was so quiet for so long, now they are talking successfully and engaging with other people. So it's important to change attitudes of other people. Now, we also have the question of the importance of specialists adhering to evidence-based practice. And the thing is, there have been many strategies for autism developed over the years. Some have been genuine and based on science, and others are more entrepreneurial and primarily to obtain money. So be very, very careful to choose evidence-based practice. Now, we're also looking at the concept of lifelong learning. And so what you have here is what may be called the stages of autism. Now, the stages are: a child, if diagnosed in the preschool years, the signs of autism can be very conspicuous and very challenging. We find at primary school there can be progress in behavior, learning, and adaptation to the community. Now, with puberty, that can all completely change, and puberty can be a very difficult time for those with autism. However, from my extensive clinical experience observing individuals over 50 years, is that the early 20s can be a time of significant progress compared to adolescence in terms of wanting to be social, behavior where previously they would be very agitated by particular events, seem to tolerate and accept them to a much greater degree, and a greater interest in self-care from the early 20s onwards. So it means that we're looking at support in a lifelong process and achieving a variety of skills that sometimes when we have the young 2 or 3-year-old autistic child, we have no idea how they could be at 20 or 30. And one of the reasons I like being in the area of autism is that the achievements can be far greater than we originally thought when they were very young children. Now, finally, I understand that my book, The Complete Guide to Asperger's Syndrome, is being translated into Russian. Oh, great, at last. I have for many years been wanting it to be translated into Russian. And I understand it's being translated by Susanna Berezki and two people with Asperger's syndrome, Antonia Steinberg and Alexei Voskov. My apologies if I didn't pronounce your names correctly, but I am so delighted that you are translating the book into Russian. So if you want to know any more, please read the new book in Russian. Thank you.